light our chalice, everyone focuses on the flame. Yet it is the paraffin of the candle, the cotton of the wick, the potassium chloride and sulfur of the match, and the oxygen in the air around us that makes that flame possible. As leaders, we are not called to be a lone beacon on a hill. Rather, we are meant to work together so that we might together shine.
Sing.
In the silence that follows the spoken prayer, you are invited forward to light a candle for whatever you hold in your heart. Let us take this time together to be open to forgiveness and be forgiven. Let us be open to diversity and be accepted. Let us be open to expression and be understood. Let us be open to compassion and be loved. Let us be open to awareness and be known. Let us be open to sharing, to exchange, to possibility, to awakening, and be hopeful. Let us be open to gratitude and be blessed. You're invited now to share, to come up, to light a candle for anything that is in your heart today. We'll have 5 minutes of silence. I light a final candle for all that we hold in our hearts. If your heart is hurting, please know that your community is here to help. Please reach out with any need.
Our offering words this morning are by Mark Morrison Reed. The central task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of our own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together, our vision widens and our strength is renewed. We now gratefully receive the offering. For those of you watching the service online, you may contribute to a virtual offering plate using the donate button on our website or by mailing a check to the church office. Will the ushers please come forward? And we give thanks.
Happy for lunch also.
Our first reading is from Richard S. Gilbert. What is our theological core? What binds us together? I think each of several suggestions hints at the source of our unity, the richness of our diversity, and the lively conversation it creates among us. Our rich tradition of freedom in faith that evolves as the human race evolves, and our sense of covenant, a mutual promise to walk together, not in unanimity of belief, but in unanimity of intention to live the religious life.
Channing Memorial Church's Congregational Covenant, we promise to bravely wrestle with challenging issues and discuss fairly, respectfully, and constructively the opinions of others. We acknowledge that different opinions and perspectives are part of the richness of our diversity. We are like-hearted people, not necessarily like-minded.
Ostara, Angela, Virginia, and I took the Building Your Own Theology Part 2 course with Reverend Jane this past spring. It was 10 weeks of exploring different facets of theology with the goal of gaining some understanding of UU theology and also clarifying what our own individual beliefs are. We discussed topics like, what is holy? Why do bad things happen? What do we know for sure? How do we account for evil? And the topic for today, or one of the topics for today, what holds us together? With all of our various backgrounds, faith traditions, and beliefs, what does hold us together? I'd like to spend a few minutes answering that question. I think there are at least two things that hold us together. One is the belief that we are all part of one another, and the other is a desire to see things more fully. In today's offering words, Mark Morrison Reed says that there are bonds that bind each to all, and that in coming together, these bonds are unveiled. Together, we see connection, and our vision widens. It's like a puzzle. The individual pieces look kind of silly with their crazy edges and random colors. But when they come together, they reveal the beautiful picture. We believe that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. I think that this is part of what holds us together, the belief that we are all part of one another and that each of us holds only a piece of the truth. We need to come together because separately, we only have one piece of the puzzle. One of the unique things about Unitarian Universalism is that we have no creed. We instead have a covenant. Our covenant is about walking together with others who see life through a spiritual lens. And for me, spiritual lens means people who are seeking meaning, making meaning, and helping others make meaning in their lives. Being together expands our vision. It's kind of like when a friend or a family member gets a new car. Say it's a gray Toyota Corolla, or maybe it's a Camry, I don't know. Previously, when you were driving down the road, you never saw any gray Toyota Corollas. Now you're driving down the road and you see dozens of them. Your vision has been expanded. The truth is, those dozens of gray Toyota Corollas were always there. It just took the relationship with someone who had one for you to start to see them. So being together and hearing each other's stories expands our vision. So what holds us together is the desire to have a complete picture, the desire to see the world more fully. We need each other to fulfill that desire.
I thoroughly enjoyed the time I spent in Building Your Own Theology classes 1 and 2. They provided a scheduled time out to examine my beliefs in the context of a small group ministry. The structure of the curriculum helped me to organize my exploration of various spiritual and religious topics. I don't think my beliefs changed so much as they were explored more in depth with other fellow travelers who provided their insights, broadening my knowledge and perspective. Being with members of the group in a personal and intimate way was as important, if not more important, than consideration of the content. In fact, some of the content of the courses was too simplistic, asking members to categorize beliefs into one category when they could fit into many. Getting to know the other members strengthened the bonds I had with them and to the congregation as a whole. I felt known, respected, and understood, reinforcing the good feeling I have about being a member of Channing. It was being in relationship, feeling known and valued, that I have become more convinced that my beliefs represent the core of my spirit. I would describe my beliefs as transcendental and humanistic. I believe that holiness resides in nature with all the variation of life, the power and beauty in it, and in the human spirit. My beliefs are informed by direct experience rather than by a creed. Although the intellect is part of how I understand my beliefs, it is in the direct experience of nature and in the relationship that I can intuit and understand, an understanding of others and myself, embrace life and the goodness in people, and the power to be someone who may better the world. My current credo is, my faith is a living, breathing faith, a connection to nature and people, with reverence, curiosity, and wonder, bringing self-love and love, respect, and generosity to others, recognizing and understanding self and others, who you and others really are, accepting and appreciating all people and living things, seeing opportunities and receiving grace.
Hello, I'm Angela, if you don't know me. My little piece is personal reflection on the theological perspectives. Currently, my theological perspective is in flux. From Christianity, which is my original faith, I'm inspired by the morality and ethics of Jesus. I learned a lot about him in my youth, and I tried to model my life after his values, and still do to this day. From theism, I believe in a transcendent power that can help humans when called upon. From mysticism, I hold high regard for personal religious experiences of union with all life. From earth-centered spirituality, I believe we are an integral part of the natural rhythms of earth, of life and death, and of creativity and destruction. From humanism, I draw on the power of community, that we can do more together than apart or by ourselves. Now, during our sessions, one of the sessions we were asked to take a quiz, I think it was on BeliefNet, where we could see which religion best fit us, and no surprise, I got Unitarian Universalism, so that one best fit with my beliefs. Thank you for listening.
Inserted in your bulletin, you'll find selections from Volume 2 of Richard S. Gilbert's book series, on which the Building Your Own Theology course is based, the several courses. There's a piece titled Theological Perspectives on this insert, and this describes 5 different perspectives you might find among Unitarian Universalists. Following that are 2 questions from the same chapter. In our communications about this service, we suggested that you read these prior to the service, but they're also here for your reference. And when we go downstairs in a while, you might want to take those questions with you. I'd like to address the questions. Is it possible for so many varied theological positions to exist in a single religious movement and a single congregation? Not easily. To answer the second question, and at greater length, the greatest potential weakness of such a radical pluralism in sustaining and growing a religious community, I think, is the difficulty inherent in trying to create deep collective spiritual experience among people who have no particular assumptions in common about how to engage with the sacred. What this means to me is that for many of us, the Unitarian Universalist service will not be where we have our deepest collective spiritual experiences. So why do we do this? Why do we come here on Sunday mornings? What is the strength, and not just the strength, but for some of us, the necessity of a religion such as this? In the multicultural world we're living in, it takes some peculiar mental gymnastics to tell ourselves that the stories others are living are less true than the stories we inhabit. And those gymnastics, I think, are self-evidently wrong to those of us here. We could simply accept the beliefs and practices of others as just as true and right as our own, while only engaging religiously with those who share our most deeply held beliefs and practices. And that might be easier. But I believe that in a society that embraces religious pluralism, there's unique value in a fundamentally different kind of religion. This is a religion where we agree that what we can't know is as important as anything we do know. And it's a religion where we take on the work of building a community where engagement with our differences is foundational to our reason for being together. And we treat this work of building this kind of community, as a sacred undertaking. What we offer here is a place to hold the belief that it takes all of us to make a whole, and to reveal that whole that is a diverse community. Wholeness is an infinitely faceted jewel, and we each hold the perspective of a single facet. And the jewel is ever evolving. And we affirm the jewel as something worth building a religion around. Most of the remainder of our time today, our service time, is reserved for congregational discussion, giving you a chance to reflect on what holds us together, with reference to the 2 questions on your bulletin insert. For this portion of the service, we'd like to regather in a space more conducive to shared exchange. Toward that end, in a moment, we'll light a second chalice from our sanctuary chalice and bring both lights downstairs. Those of us here in person will regather in 2 separate spaces on the lower floor. Those who might have trouble hearing in the larger hall downstairs, and anyone who simply wishes to meet with a smaller group, may choose to attend the discussion in the smaller classroom space. Others will sit at the tables in the larger gathering hall. The group meeting in the classroom will also include those participating via Zoom. Please note that coffee hour will be after the service as usual, which is to say after the discussion portion of the service. Also, please note that safety is more important than speed when it comes to our reconvening downstairs. Well, we'd like plenty of time for discussion, and so it'll be nice to be efficient. Take your time as needed. And if stairs present an obstacle, the lower floor can also be accessed from the outside by walking around the building to the doors near the shed. And Eleanor, yeah, okay, we are good to go. So we are going to light our second chalice. From 1 light, 2, to guide us to our discussion spaces and to hold us in a common light.
A finest tender planet, a crystal and a cell, a starfish and a saurian, and caves where ancients dwelt. the sense of law and